individual. I mentioned about the youth and how the youth don't, for the most part, take to heart what they hear. And once you get separated from it, once the cares of this world come upon you and you start living in the world and you don't have the connection, or the connection gets weaker and weaker and weaker with the brethren, that you live a life that is not focused upon Yahweh. It's not Yahweh directed. And eventually, those things that you learn are going to dissipate and disappear. But there was one individual, there are many in the scriptures, don't get me wrong, but there's one individual I want to focus on a little bit today that took to heart the teachings of Almighty Yahweh and the love his father had for him. His father was very clear in instructing him as he grew up to make an example. And it became an example for the whole, what became the nation of Israel. But let's drop back to the subject of Joseph. Joseph, a very interesting character, because I want you, especially those that are young, if you're chomping at the bit, waiting to get out there into the world and prove yourself, I hope you think about Joseph in a time like that. In Genesis 37, and the reason I'm bringing this subject up, the reason I'm bringing him up as the subject of something to focus upon in this message, is because Joseph was raised knowing Yahweh. He was raised by a father that loved him as few fathers love their children. Jacob just downright loved Joseph. And Joseph went from that. Of course, his physical brothers saw the love their father had for him, and it caused to flourish in them, not the fruit of the Spirit, not a like appreciation and love for Yahweh. They had the same father, but what they had was something else, and that was the works of the flesh. Jealousy, envy, bitterness toward Joseph because of his special relationship to his heavenly father and his earthly father. So let's read here in Genesis chapter 3 and verse 3. It says, "Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, and they hated him, and could not speak peaceably to him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him even more. He said to them, 'Hear, I pray you, this dream which I dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves came round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf.' And his brothers said to him, 'Shall you indeed reign over us?'" You see, they knew the interpretation. "Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us?' And they hated him yet more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed another dream, and he told it to his brothers, and he said, 'Behold, I've dreamed another dream. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me.' And he told it to his father and to his brothers. And his father rebuked him and said to him, 'What is this dream you have dreamed? Shall I and your mother and your brothers indeed come to bow down ourselves to you, to the earth?' And his brothers envied him, but his father kept the saying in mind." You see, Yahweh gave Joseph these dreams. His family knew what they meant, but they didn't want to see the interpretation come to pass. And yet, as Joseph is recounting the dream, Yahweh already knew all the things that would take place in Joseph's life from that point forward. Yahweh knew that his brothers would take him and sell him into slavery. And Yahweh knew that he would become the head of the household for Potiphar. And he knew that situation would develop and cause Joseph to be thrown into jail, into prison. And Yahweh also knew he would be giving Joseph dreams in that prison that would eventually get him out and get him into the seat of number 2 in the greatest country in existence at that time, Egypt. Yahweh knew all that was going to happen. His brothers, his father, didn't want to hear what the interpretations of those dreams were. And yet, it was Jacob himself, and I believe Isaac was involved with this as well, as grandfather, of talking about Yahweh, talking about who Yahweh is, what he has in store for those that follow him. And of the